Okay guys, so for this part, I'm going to show you how to map out the parts of your face, the highlights, the midtones, the shadows, and all that. So I have my paper taped down. My pastel is on the back of it, and I'm ready to start mapping out. Make sure you have a pencil. You don't want to poke through the paper, so you don't want your pencil to be super sharp. Mine's kind of dull. That way I can apply pressure and I don't rip my paper. So I'm also going to loosen up one of my sides here so that I can do checks every now and then to see if my pastel is transferring over onto my paper. So I'm just going to get those a little less sticky. Okay. So what I'm going to do is map out the brightest areas first. And you are going to have to do your hair. You won't have to do the background though. So it will take you some time to map out. I'm seeing like the highlights of my face. I see little spots kind of on my cheek, on my cheekbone, this area under my eyebrow. See, this part of my lip is really shiny. This section of my hair. And then I'll show you guys what I mean by check and make sure it's transferring. So I can flip it and see that my shapes are going through to my paper. So then I can just tape that back over and continue. So a lot of my hair is a highlight. I have blonde hair, so it's standing out as one of the brightest. So most of my hair is going to be part of the highlight, but not all of it. Like under here is darker, over here is darker, these parts are darker. So I'm only outlining the lightest parts right now. And then I think for my face, I think I've got the brightest parts pretty much covered. So okay, so if I was going to be done with the highlights, this is what my paper looks like right now. So then I'm going to go into not the brightest highlights, but like the second brightest parts of my face. So if I'm gonna go ahead and map those out, we'll go down here. And notice how I'm completing every shape. I'm not leaving anything open. You have to complete every shape because when we go and start painting these, you need those shapes to know where you're gonna paint. If you leave them open-ended, you won't know where your shape starts and stops. So again, if I'm looking at the second brightest parts, also guys, I'm squinting to kind of see where those brightest parts of my face are. So I'm gonna map under there. I think this part of my eye is pretty bright. And then there's a lot of the parts of my hair that I can go back in and kind of outline that are not the brightest, but they're pretty close. Like I said, most of my hair is going to be part of this highlight section. If you have darker hair, most of your hair might be in the shadow section. So then I'm gonna go to where I'm starting to look at my midtones. So we've talked about midtones. It's kind of just the in between color. It's not the brightest, it's not the darkest, but it's kind of where the two meet in the middle. And so I'm gonna go ahead and map out some of my face, and a lot of your face is probably gonna be in this range. Notice how big of a section that is. And I'll also go ahead and show you guys my progress. So that is what my face looks like now. Notice how I'm not putting my whole lip in that section because this part is darker. So I'm gonna kind of let that stand on its own for now. And also at the end of this, your whole face is going to be in some part of the tracing, whether it's the highlights, the shadows, or the midtones. And so it's okay if your shapes are meeting at a point here, like my two shapes are touching, my shapes up here are touching. That's okay. That just means that my piece is coming together and it's becoming cohesive. So I'm gonna also outline a lot of my face around here. I'm making sure I get this edge of my face, going around. Okay, so this is probably all that I would consider the midtone. So then now I'm gonna start into the shadows. So this half of my face is largely shadows, so a lot of that is gonna be in this section. Another thing to note is make sure you're getting like eyebrows. So that would have been in my midtones. I missed that one. So I'm just gonna outline that now. I've got my eyebrow. My eyeball, I would say, kind of falls into this section, kind of falls into the highlight. And then this top half kind of would fall into the midtones. And my eyeball kind of be a midtone as well. So then, now I have that complete shape for my eye and my eyebrow. So this will take a while. Once you get, I'm gonna go ahead and finish mine off camera. That way I can show you guys the finished product. So I'm gonna do my shadows and then I'll be back. Okay guys, so this is the final product for me tracing my face. So I've got all my features, so make sure you've got all yours. I've got my nose, my eyes, my mouth, my hair, my face is enclosed. I've got my neck and the start of my shirt. Now we don't have to do the background, we'll do that. We're gonna do something else with that, so don't worry about that. Just make sure you've got all your face done. If you realize as you're tracing that you're missing a feature, maybe you didn't put your eyeball in or you didn't trace your nose out, make sure you go back and do that before you take the other half of the tape off, so that way you don't mess up your tracing. But you do, when you are done, you should be able to make out a full face at the end. So make sure you're looking at which section is where, because when we start painting these sections being blocked off are going to be very helpful, because you can just quickly flip back to your picture and realize, okay, so maybe I had this large section was a midtone. So I already have that blocked off. I don't have to worry about it. So make sure you do have everything gone over. And if you have any questions, of course, always ask me.